Outro script. Welcome to my channel. Today we explored the Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1997 1 penny coin. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, my fellow coin lovers. Who knows, maybe one day we'll all be billionaires with our coin collections. See you in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe. Would you like me to also create a shorter catchy version, 10 to 15 seconds, perfect for quick outros, or keep it long and formal? Outro script. Welcome to my channel. Today we explored the Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1997 1 penny coin. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, my fellow coin lovers. Who knows, maybe one day we'll all be billionaires with our... Here's a long continuous paragraph narration about the 1997 United Kingdom 1 penny coin, designed to last around 10 minutes when read aloud, with full historical, design, and technical details. The 1997 United Kingdom 1 penny coin is a small but significant piece of British coinage that carries both the heritage of the monarchy and the symbolism of the nation's long tradition of money. On the obverse, the coin bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who by 1997 had already reigned for 45 years, making her the longest-serving monarch in British history up to that point. The inscription around her portrait reads, Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.D. 1997, which expands to Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This Latin phrase, a traditional part of British coinage, emphasizes the Queen's divine right to rule and her role as the supreme governor of the Church of England. The portrait used in 1997 is the third official effigy of the Queen, created by sculptor Raphael Maklauf in 1985, which shows her wearing the royal diadem crown. This design was intended to portray Elizabeth with dignity and grace, reflecting both her maturity and the enduring stability of the monarchy. On the reverse, designed by Christopher Ironside, we see the symbolic crowned portcullis, a design based on the badge of Henry VII, which has long been associated with the Palace of Westminster and Parliament. The portcullis, a medieval gate with chains, symbolizes strength, security, and governance, while the crown above it represents the sovereignty of the monarch. Surrounding the design is the word 1 penny at the top and the denomination 1 below, making the coin's identity clear. From a technical standpoint, the 1997 1 penny coin belongs to an important transitional moment in British numismatics. Since decimalization in 1971, the penny had been struck in bronze, made of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, but by the early 1990s, the rising cost of copper led to a change in composition. Starting in 1992, the Royal Mint began producing 1 penny coins in copper-plated steel, which kept the same weight and appearance but used a much cheaper core. Therefore, the 1997 penny is struck in copper-plated steel, making it slightly magnetic, unlike earlier bronze versions. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.65 millimeters, with a smooth edge. Billions of 1 penny coins were minted in this period to satisfy circulation needs, and the 1997 issue is very common, with no special rarity in everyday examples. However, it remains historically interesting as part of the long decimal series and because it reflects the continuous use of Ironside's reverse design, which had been a feature of British low-denomination coins since decimalization. For collectors, circulated 1997 pennies usually hold only face value due to their high mintage, but pristine uncirculated examples, proof strikes, or those included in official mint sets can have higher appeal. Proof coins produced at the Royal Mint display sharper details, polished fields, and frosted reliefs, and these coins are sought after by numismatists assembling complete date runs of decimal pennies. Another point of collector interest is the fact that the coin exists only with the Maklauf obverse portrait in 1997, as the Ian Rank Broadley fourth portrait would not be introduced until 1998. Therefore, the 1997 penny marks the final full year of the Maklauf effigy on circulating pennies, which adds a sense of closure to this chapter of the Queen's coinage portraits. Error coins from 1997 are rare but can include misstrikes, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws, and these can attract strong premiums depending on their visibility and uniqueness. From a symbolic perspective, the 1997 1 penny coin conveys layers of national meaning. The Queen's portrait reaffirms the monarchy's central place in the nation's identity, while the inscription DG Reg. FD ties her authority to both divine right and religious tradition. On the reverse, the crowned portcullis links the coin to the Palace of Westminster, the seat of parliamentary democracy, and to Britain's constitutional balance of monarchy and government. The small denomination itself represents the importance of even the humblest coin in daily life, as pennies are the building blocks of the monetary system. In circulation, the 1997 penny would have been used countless times in small purchases, vending machines, parking meters, and shops, passing through millions of hands as a practical tool of commerce while carrying these deeper layers of symbolism. In conclusion, the 1997 United Kingdom 1 penny coin is a small denomination with big historical significance. It reflects the enduring reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the transition from bronze to copper-plated steel, and the final full year of Raphael Maklauf's regal portrait. While common in circulation, it remains of interest to collectors for proof examples, high-grade uncirculated coins, and error varieties. Its design, combining the Queen's image with the crowned portcullis, blends monarchy, faith, and parliamentary authority into a single small coin, making it both a symbol of Britain's heritage and a functional tool of daily life. More than just a piece of change, the 1997 penny tells the story of a nation, its ruler, and its evolving monetary system, carrying with it the weight of history despite its modest size. Backhand index pointing right. Do you want me to also create a YouTube script version of this with a strong hook like, this 1997 UK penny may look ordinary, but it marked the end of an era in the Queen's portraits. Here's why. Here's a long, continuous paragraph about the 1996 United Kingdom 1 penny coin, crafted to give you 10 minutes of narration when read aloud, with full design, history, technical, and collector details. The 1996 United Kingdom 1 penny coin is a modest yet fascinating piece of decimal coinage that reflects Britain's long-standing traditions in currency design, its monarchy, and its cultural symbolism. On the obverse, it features the third official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Raphael Maklauf and first introduced in 1985. This effigy shows the Queen wearing the regal George IV state diadem, a crown often associated with state occasions such as the annual state opening of Parliament. Maklauf's design deliberately emphasizes dignity and elegance, with more idealized features compared to later portraits, giving the Queen a timeless and youthful appearance despite her maturity by the mid-1990s. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1996, which expands to Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, translated as Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This inscription not only ties the monarchy to its divine right traditions, but also acknowledges the Queen's role as the supreme governor of the Church of England. Turning to the reverse, we see the enduring design of the crowned portcullis with chains, created by Christopher Ironside for the decimal coinage introduced in 1971. The portcullis, a historic symbol of the Palace of Westminster and Parliament, represents governance, security, and the strength of the state, while the crown above it links parliamentary democracy to the monarchy. The words, 1 penny, appear above, with the denomination 1 clearly placed below, making the coin's identity unmistakable. This reverse design remained in place until 2008, when the Royal Mint introduced a new series featuring segments of the Royal Shield, but in 1996, the traditional portcullis still served as a symbol of Britain's constitutional continuity. From a technical perspective, the 1996 1 penny coin belongs to the generation of pennies struck in copper-plated steel, a change that was introduced in 1992 due to rising copper costs. Before that year, pennies were struck in bronze, but from 1992 onward, the coins retained their outward appearance yet became slightly magnetic due to their steel core. Thus, the 1996 penny is composed of 94% steel with a thin 6% copper plating, giving it a bright reddish color while remaining cost-efficient to produce. The coin has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.65 millimeters, and a weight of 3.56 grams, with a plain smooth edge. The Royal Mint struck the 1996 penny in very large numbers for circulation, meaning that billions of examples entered daily use across the United Kingdom, making it a common coin in pocket change. Nevertheless, this does not diminish its historical importance as part of the wider decimal series. For many people in Britain, the penny remains one of the most frequently encountered denominations, useful for everyday small transactions such as vending machines, parking meters, and exact change in shops. For collectors, the 1996 penny generally holds little premium in circulated condition due to its high mintage, but there are still areas of special interest. Coins struck for proof sets or in brilliant uncirculated quality for collectors often display sharper details, polished surfaces, and frosted designs, which distinguish them from regular circulating strikes. These can be worth more than face value, especially when preserved in original mint packaging. Additionally, error coins, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or defective copper plating, are rare but highly desirable, sometimes fetching far higher prices depending on the nature and visibility of the error. The year 1996 is also significant because it was one of the last years before the Royal Mint transitioned from Maclauf's portrait to the newer Ian Rank Broadley effigy, which debuted in 1998. As a result, the 1996 issue represents one of the final stages of the Maclauf era, adding to its historical context within the broader series of Elizabeth II coinage. From a symbolic and cultural standpoint, the 1996 one-penny coin embodies both continuity and change. On the obverse, Queen Elizabeth II's portrait conveys stability, dignity, and national identity, reaffirming her role not only as a monarch but also as a unifying symbol across the Commonwealth. The Latin inscription reflects centuries of tradition in British coinage, tying the modern decimal coin directly back to earlier eras of history where monarchs were similarly celebrated on the nation's money. On the reverse, the crowned portcullis emphasizes the constitutional link between monarchy and parliament, two institutions that have defined British governance for centuries. This symbolism underscores the balance of tradition and democracy within the British system. At the same time, the penny's humble role as the smallest practical unit of currency in daily life reflects the importance of accessibility and fairness in the monetary system. Every coin, no matter how small, has a role to play in the economy. In 1996, such coins would have been exchanged millions of times a day in shops, buses, and daily commerce, becoming a familiar and trusted part of everyday life in the UK. In conclusion, the 1996 United Kingdom one-penny coin may be small in denomination, but it is rich in meaning and historical value. With its obverse featuring Raphael Maclauf's elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and its reverse displaying Christopher Ironside's iconic crowned portcullis, it represents both monarchy and parliament, faith and governance, history and modernity. Struck in copper-plated steel, it reflects the economic necessity of reducing production costs while retaining familiar designs. While common in circulation, uncirculated, proof, and error examples remain of particular interest to collectors. Symbolically, the coin carries the weight of Britain's constitutional identity and daily commerce, making it not just a tool of transaction but a piece of history in every pocket. The 1996 penny reminds us that even the smallest coins can tell great stories about a nation's past, its institutions, and its enduring traditions. Backhand index pointing right. Do you want me to also prepare a YouTube-ready script version of this with an engaging intro like, the 1996 UK penny may look tiny, but it carries centuries of royal tradition and history in its design. Let's dive in. Here's a long, continuous paragraph narration about the 1998 United Kingdom one-penny coin, detailed enough to give you around 10 minutes of spoken content for your channel. The 1998 United Kingdom one-penny coin is a small yet historically significant piece of modern British coinage, marking the beginning of a new chapter in the visual legacy of Queen Elizabeth II on UK currency. On the obverse, the coin features the fourth definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Ian Rank Broadley and introduced in 1998, replacing the earlier Raphael Maclauf effigy that had been in use since 1985. Rank Broadley's design was notable for its realism and honesty. It depicted the Queen with a more mature, natural appearance, showing the lines of age rather than idealized youthfulness. The Queen is shown facing right, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of her favorite crowns, gifted to her by her grandmother Queen Mary. Surrounding the portrait is the traditional Latin inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1998, which stands for Elizabeth II Grazia Regina Fidei Defensor, translated as Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This inscription emphasizes her dual role as monarch and religious leader within the United Kingdom. On the reverse, the design remains the well-known crowned portcullis with chains, created by Christopher Ironside for Britain's decimal coinage in 1971. The portcullis, long associated with the Palace of Westminster, represents the strength and security of the state, as well as Britain's parliamentary system, while the crown symbolizes the sovereign's authority. The inscription, one penny, is placed at the top, and the denomination, 1, appears clearly below, ensuring the coin's value is unmistakable. This combination of monarchy on one side and parliament on the other reflects the constitutional balance of power in the United Kingdom, captured in the design of even its smallest coin. From a technical standpoint, the 1998 penny was struck in copper-plated steel, a composition that had been adopted in 1992 as a cost-saving measure due to the rising price of copper. The core of the coin is made of steel, making it magnetic, and then plated with copper to preserve the traditional appearance. This gives the coin its familiar reddish tone while ensuring affordability in mass production. The 1998 penny weighs 3.56 grams, measures 20.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.65 millimeters, with a plain smooth edge. It was produced in very high numbers for circulation by the Royal Mint, meaning that ordinary examples remain common and generally worth only face value. However, the fact that it was the first year to feature the Ian Rank Broadley portrait makes it a significant milestone in the broader series of Elizabeth II pennies, adding collector interest for those assembling complete sets of portrait changes throughout the Queen's reign. For collectors, circulated 1998 pennies usually hold little more than face value due to their abundance, but there are exceptions. Proof versions and uncirculated strikes, particularly those included in the official 1998 Royal Mint proof sets, are sought after for their high-quality finishes and precise details. These coins feature mirror-like backgrounds and frosted designs, making the Queen's portrait and the portcullis stand out more vividly. Collectors also look for error coins from this year, though they are rare. Examples might include off-center strikes, double strikes, or problems with the copper plating, and these can fetch premiums depending on rarity and visibility. Because 1998 marks the introduction of Rank Broadley's portrait, some numismatists consider it a key year in the modern decimal penny series. The sharp stylistic departure from Maclauf's more idealized effigy to Rank Broadley's realistic approach reflected a broader cultural shift toward honesty and transparency, making the coin not just a monetary tool but also a reflection of the Queen's advancing years and the realism valued in late 20th century design. From a symbolic and cultural perspective, the 1998 one-penny coin is rich with meaning. The obverse reflects continuity of the monarchy while acknowledging the natural passage of time, presenting Elizabeth II as a strong, aging monarch still very much central to national identity. The reverse emphasizes Britain's parliamentary democracy, reminding users that the governance of the nation rests on both historical monarchy and modern representative institutions. The penny, though the smallest denomination, is a coin deeply embedded in British life, used in millions of everyday transactions, from shop counters to vending machines, and serving as the foundation of the currency system. In 1998, this coin would have been particularly symbolic, as it marked the shift from one portrait era to another, passing through the hands of citizens who may not have even noticed the change but were nonetheless holding history in their pockets. In conclusion, the 1998 United Kingdom one-penny coin is a coin of transition and significance, introducing Ian Rank Broadley's realistic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II while retaining Christopher Ironside's classic crowned portcullis reverse. Struck in copper-plated steel, it is technically ordinary yet historically important as the beginning of the fourth portrait era of the Queen's reign. For collectors, proof and uncirculated examples are the most valuable, while error coins hold niche appeal. For historians, the coin represents both the evolution of royal portraiture and the endurance of Britain's constitutional symbolism. Though humble in size and value, the 1998 penny captures the essence of a nation balancing tradition and change, and it remains a fascinating part of modern British numismatic history. Backhand index pointing right. Would you like me to also prepare a YouTube script version of this with a catchy hook like, the 1998 UK penny may look ordinary, but it marked the beginning of a brand new royal portrait era. Here's why this coin matters. Here's a long, continuous narration about the 1993 United Kingdom one-penny coin, detailed enough to give you around 10 minutes of spoken content for your channel. The 1993 United Kingdom one-penny coin is a small yet fascinating piece of decimal coinage that reflects the evolution of Britain's modern currency system, the enduring reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and the continuation of symbolic designs that link the monarchy with parliamentary tradition. On the obverse, the coin carries the third official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Raphael Maclauf and first introduced in 1985. In this depiction, the Queen faces right and wears the George IV state diadem, a crown decorated with roses, thistles, and shamrocks representing England, Scotland, and Ireland. Maclauf's portrait is notable for its elegance and idealism. He deliberately portrayed the Queen with smoother, youthful features that some critics considered too flattering, but which gave the coinage of the era a sense of grace and timelessness. Encircling the portrait is the Latin inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1993, an abbreviation for Elizabeth II Grazia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This inscription not only honors her role as sovereign, but also emphasizes her status as supreme governor of the Church of England. Turning to the reverse, we see the iconic crowned portcullis with chains, designed by Christopher Ironside for the decimal coinage introduced in 1971. The portcullis, a medieval gate associated with the Palace of Westminster, represents both protection and the power of Parliament, while the crown above it signifies royal authority. Surrounding the design is the inscription 1 penny at the top, with the denomination 1 clearly shown at the bottom. Together, the obverse and reverse balance monarchy and Parliament, faith and governance, making even the smallest coin a symbol of Britain's constitutional structure. From a technical perspective, the 1993 penny belongs to the period when the Royal Mint had already shifted from the traditional bronze alloy to the more economical copper-plated steel, a change made in 1992 due to the rising cost of copper. As such, the 1993 penny is struck in steel and then plated with a thin layer of copper, giving it the familiar reddish color of earlier bronze coins while making it magnetic. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, measures 20.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.65 millimeters, with a plain smooth edge. This change in composition was invisible to most users at the time, but marked an important step in the modernization of Britain's circulating coinage. The Royal Mint struck very large numbers of the 1993 penny for everyday circulation, so ordinary examples are extremely common and usually worth only their face value. Nonetheless, the year holds interest for collectors because it represents one of the early years of copper-plated steel pennies, making it part of the first stage in this modern production era. For collectors and numismatists, the 1993 penny has several points of interest. Circulated examples are plentiful and not valuable, but uncirculated specimens, especially those from Royal Mint brilliant uncirculated or proof sets, are prized for their superior detail and finish. Proof coins from 1993, struck with polished dies and extra care, display mirror-like fields and frosted reliefs, making the Queen's portrait and the portcullis stand out sharply. These coins often carry collector value above face, especially when preserved in original mint packaging. Another area of interest is the search for error coins, which can include off-center strikes, double strikes, or plating issues, though such varieties are rare. For those assembling complete date runs of UK decimal pennies, the 1993 issue is a necessary inclusion, sitting within the broader timeline of Maklauf's portrait period before the eventual transition to Ian Rank Broadley's more realistic effigy in 1998. From a symbolic standpoint, the 1993 penny represents continuity and stability. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait underscores her long and steady reign, by then stretching over 4 decades, while the Latin inscription ties the modern monarch directly to traditions stretching back centuries. The reverse design of the crowned portcullis symbolizes the fusion of monarchy and parliamentary democracy, reminding citizens of the balance of power in Britain's constitutional system. Though small in value, the penny's design carries national identity in miniature. At a time when coins passed through countless daily transactions, from small shop purchases to bus fares, every penny was a physical token of both practical economy and cultural heritage. For many, the 1993 penny would have been used without a second thought, yet it quietly carried the story of Britain's evolving coinage and identity in the late 20th century. In conclusion, the 1993 United Kingdom 1 penny coin is more than just a small denomination of currency. It is a representation of Britain's monarchy, parliament, and faith, expressed through Raphael Maklauf's dignified portrait of Elizabeth II and Christopher Ironside's timeless crowned portcullis reverse. Technically, it marks the early years of the switch to copper-plated steel, a practical decision that allowed the Royal Mint to maintain tradition while cutting costs. For collectors, its value lies mainly in proof and uncirculated examples or rare errors, but its historical place within the decimal series ensures its importance. Though common in circulation, the 1993 penny symbolizes a nation balancing modern changes with enduring traditions, making it a small yet meaningful piece of numismatic history. Backhand index pointing right. Would you like me to also prepare a YouTube-style script version of this with a strong hook like, this 1993 UK penny may look ordinary, but it tells the story of Britain's move from bronze to steel. Here's why it matters.